we go changing it and now it's a problem. That's not a problem as long as you make it better than the fucking demo, right? I'm like, then it's not a problem. But if you fuck my song up, I'm pissed.
All right, before we begin, let's thank our great sponsors, and we've got some good sponsors. Now, remember, if you would like to be a part of the process, I would love to have a conversation with you. Sponsoring the BPX, the Bailey Podcast Exchange, just reach out to me via jasonbailey.com. Let's start. Inspect All Pest Services. Inspect All Pest Services providing the highest quality termite pest and wildlife control. That's not all they do. Inspect All can take care of your insulation, your pressure washing, your gutter maintenance, and other home services there in the metro Atlanta and the surrounding areas. InspectAllServices.com. Also, thanks to Inspect All Pest Services for sponsoring all of our guests on the BPX. The Mad Dog, Manny Aurora with the Aurora Law Firm, theauroralawfirm.com. Best damn defense attorney in the land. He litigates all over the United States, based out of Georgia. Criminal defense, white-collar crime, DUI, drug offenses, appeals, and more. theauroralawfirm.com. And if you have a legal question for the Mad Dog when he visits the BS, please go to jasonbailey.com and get that to me now. It's Ridgeline Counseling with Dr. David Markwell. If you need help, get help. He's got 10 therapists who work with him there at Ridgeline Counseling, 3 different locations in the state of Georgia, one across from Sprayberry High School in Sandy Plains, in East Cobb, Marietta right there near the square, and McKaysville outside of Blue Ridge. But if you're not in those areas and you still need help from the best in the business, that'd be Dr. David Markwell with Ridgeline Counseling. He does virtual sessions, which are extremely helpful, and you can set that appointment up at markwelltherapy.com. Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia, family owned and operated. They are a Generac generator dealer, offering sales, service, installation, and repair of automatic home standby and portable generators. And each and every one of you, 2 peers, when you become a customer, you get an upgraded warranty, free monitoring, with a service contract, offering flexible financing, semi-annual and annual service contracts for existing installations and warranty repair. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, and you pay nothing until the job is complete, and you, the customer, are very, very happy. Call or request a free home assessment. You can go online, poweringgeorgia.com, or you can call 770-853-7571. Don't forget, use the discount code Bailey, and you get $500 off your entire installation. Servicing Georgia and Tennessee. MVP Walk-In Tub and Shower of Atlanta. Beautiful, affordable bathing solutions. MVP Walk-In Tub and Shower. They're a local family-owned and operated company committed to enhancing your bathroom experience in Metro Atlanta. They provide high-quality, safe, and affordable walk-in tubs and showers, focusing solely on installations that elevate your home's comfort and accessibility. They service all of Atlanta, Georgia. Like I said, family-owned and operated, no commission sales guys. There's no hassle when you deal with MVP Walk-In Tub and Shower of Atlanta. No high-pressure tactics. Go to their website and see the work that they're doing. Gen Xers, having them parents finally move in, and you're going to help them out, and you got to redo all that. Don't do it yourself. Go with the best in the business. These are the pros. MVPWalk-ins.com. Or you can call 404-493-6888. Mention the BPX, get $2,000 off. Again, mention the Bailey Podcast Exchange, BPX, or any of the shows, and you will receive $2,000 off from MVP Walk-In Tub and Shower of Atlanta. Alive Ozone Therapy Spa, Central Florida's first and only ozone therapy spa, administering ozone therapy or activated oxygen therapy non-invasively through what is called the Hocket sauna. Also offering red light therapy, halo therapy, pressotherapy, PEMF, as well as naturally in-house made ozone-infused products online, like that magnesium butter. AliveOzoneTherapySpa.com to book your appointment or to shop all of the products for Alive Ozone Therapy Spa, as well as the brand new Alive Ozone Therapy Spa app. If you are an Apple user, go into your app store and just search Alive Ozone Therapy Spa. If you're an Android user, search Alive Ozone Therapy Spa, order and book online. Again, if you are a business and you want the BPX, the Bailey Podcast Exchange, to help your brand, there's so much more than just advertising when it comes to this world. I'd like to have that conversation with you. Reach out to me, please, via jasonbailey.com, and let's chat. With that being said, let's begin.
I think we should do a podcast about rock and roll. And that's what stories.
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome to the Vinyl Road Podcast.
All right, there it is. It's the Vinyl Road, episode 27. It is a podcast about rock and roll, life on the road, stories of life, and everything in between. On the BPX, that is the Bailey Podcast Exchange. 3 different shows, 5 days a week, one feed, preferably Spotify, so you can see our beautiful smiling faces. And you can get all those details, including all the social links for all of the shows. Our great sponsors, the email club, the merchandise, all kinds of good stuff. JasonBailey.com. All right. Thanks for being here. My name is Jason Bailey. There he is, the man himself, Mr. Brad Stewart. How are you?
All right.
Yeah.
What's up? What's happening? Feeling good.
I'm just happy we're still alive and the aliens haven't come yet, but they're on their way and they'll be here. And I believe like right around Christmas time from the Atlas, right? That's the time.
Did they slow down? I thought they were going to be here by now, quite honestly. I thought it was like November or almost by Thanksgiving. I mean, didn't they have some issues around the sun? I guess they kind of hung around the sun, and then now they're heading this way or something weird. Like they hit a solar flare up or something.
Maybe they had car problems. Who knows?
They had to do some repairs. They stopped along the way somewhere, I guess, man.
I know the last thing that I read was that it was pulsating. It was like whatever it was, which I guess comets don't normally do. So all these things that comets don't normally do, this Atlas quote unquote comet is doing, but yet nobody's talking about it except for like 5 quote unquote weirdos that are actual scientists that are going, dude, these are aliens and they're coming for us, right? And nobody's talking about it.
And you would think if it was faked, they'd be promoting it more heavily. If this was a fake thing, they're like, it's the end of the world. Let's make the New World Order and become one government, just like on fucking Independence Day with Will Smith and the whole fucking thing. You'd think they would be hyping it. But, I mean, maybe it's real and they're, like, worried and shit. Aren't they going to send up some, like, I thought I saw something where they're planning to send some anti-asteroid type shit up there to fuck with this thing if it does get close enough, right? Have you seen that?
No,
dude, I was like, that's kind of serious. I don't even really know what to say about that, like.
What do you think the percentage of people in the entire world, if these were aliens coming from this Atlas comet, would be surprised that they were aliens coming from this Atlas comet? What do you think the percentage of people that would be surprised that would be the case?
What is it, like 10%?
I agree. Yeah.
I mean,
like, think about it. You wake up in the morning, right? And you get a notification on your phone to say, hey, look, aliens are here. I mean, I would investigate, do a little research, but I think I would go about my day. It wouldn't shock me.
You're like, and? I mean, there's 8 billion of us. Are they really going to track me down specifically? Maybe they've been watching. Maybe they somehow are watching us, They're using the insects. Their antennas can go all the way to fucking, how are they doing it, man? How they know to come get me?
I think we have enough movie research to survive, like to know, get out of the big cities, find a place where it's kind of no man's land, get in a trailer,
Yeah.
We'll figure it out down the road and get to an Air Force base. I think we have enough research for survival skills just because of Hollywood.
They'll never find me out here. Yeah. What was that with Mel Gibson with the crop circle when they came? Signs. Yeah, that's it. And they're like, they didn't think they'd come and they came for him. I mean, that was kind of scary. That was
what alien movie would be your survival guide if there are aliens coming at us from this Atlas comet? What movie do you first go to and go, we've got to do this?
Oh, it's the one with Tom Cruise, of course. The
World War Z.
No,
that's Brad Pitt.
No. It was a famous book, War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds. Yeah.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you seen the one? It's out recently, and I saw it on the airplane. God damn, what's the name of it? It's like 8 seconds, or it's like you know what I'm talking about? It came out quite recently, and apparently, you have to be quiet because if these things hear you, they'll come get your ass. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Quiet Place?
What is it?
A Quiet Place with...
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Years ago. What are you talking about?
I know, but I just saw it on the airplane. There's like 2 of them or something. There was a new one, I think, recently it came out.
Yeah, Quieter Place. Yeah.
Quieter Place. Yeah.
The problem I had with that movie, it was a good movie. It was a decent
That's pretty
movie.
good. That's pretty good.
It was creatively clever, kind of like Castaway, where no one speaks for an insane amount of time. And it's just awkward silence. But I am a fan of the power of silence, so I could appreciate that. The problem is when you watch A Quiet Place in the movie theater, while no one's talking in the movie or in the theater, all you hear are the cows grazing, eating their popcorn, their choo-choo beans, sucking their Cokes. And it's like 30 minutes of which nobody wants to hear somebody chew, right?
Oh, man, gross.
You find out who's got bad manners when you go watch that movie.
And now you can drink in the theater. So, man, I'm getting hammered. Everyone's talking and shit. Like, that's a little weird, too. Man, this ain't a bar, bro. We're trying to watch this shit. Shut the fuck up, right? Like, come on. They're screaming at the screen. Hey, stop! What are you doing? Especially with a horror movie. I'm like, they're all hammered in there. I'm like, fuck, man.
You remember pre-cell phones when people were wearing pagers, and there was no warning of turn your pager to mute or volume down or whatever the case may be. And just throughout the movie, because everybody had to be cool and had a pager for you youngsters, that was a thing. And you'd be like a good part of the movie here. Beep, 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 beep. So annoying.
Doctor's getting up. Oh, I got to go do surgery.
Drug dealers.
Or drug dealers, I was going to say. Or someone, he needs a bag of weed. Was it maybe a quarter ounce, some shit?
You hear the pager go off, and you look at the guy, and you're like, doctor or drug dealer?
Then you see him get up. Oh, option B. All
right. Let's start with Saliva news as we get to the end of the year. I think last episode you said things, kind of dull until next year, and things will pop up then. But you guys just added a show in Phoenix, right? A big show.
We did, actually. I just talked to or texted with Bobby yesterday, and he was like, show added. He's very cryptic these days with his text. Show added. Okay, where, when? 12/21 with actually, I was like, that's kind of late for like a club play. 3 weeks away, and they added us, and he goes, no, it's with Fuel and Lit in Phoenix.
Oh, cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So of course, I was in different Fuel with Brett Scallions. Now it's Carl has a different band, and Aaron's singing, and they got Kevin Miller playing drum. Yeah, they rock. They sound great. We played a few shows with them. Of course, in Maryland, we did the Boardwalk Fest. Fuel was on that day and on our stage. And we've done we did a show with Seether with them at a baseball field like in Indiana or somewhere. But yeah, we played with them here along the way, and of course I have some history with the Lit Boys too, because in the version of Fuel I was in, we did a lot of touring with Lit. It was like Fuel and Lit and Filter. We did Shiprocked with them, and Andy from Fuel, my buddy Andy played guitar in Fuel, lived in Fullerton where the Lit guys were originally based. So we'd go to their bar and get completely hammered with them, and they're fun. I mean, they are like the songs they sing. That's how they are. I don't know if they're still that way, but that's how they were 10 years ago. Whatever. And now they live in Nashville.
Yeah.
So.
I got to meet them and get to know them a little bit more. Taylor, their drummer, but also Jay, the brothers, and I talked to them a little bit, right? I've always been a fan. I just didn't realize how much of a fan I was of Lit until I saw them perform. I don't think that I had ever seen them actually perform up until about, maybe 4 years ago. And I was actually going to see Bret Michaels. This was up in Sugar Hill, Georgia, at this really cool amphitheater that they have. And I just see a bunch of these guys, look like rock star guys, walking over from another part of the town, which I was not familiar with. And I started talking to them, and I got to start talking to Taylor, but there was a show that they were on in Sugar Hill at this weird venue. It was almost like that room in Tombstone, where they had the play, where you have people on the side. It's kind of like one of those venues, just an odd place, but it was Lit. It was Hoobastank. It was Chris from Atari's, and it was Alien Ant Farm.
Oh yeah.
odd place to have those bands because it wasn't like a move and groove type of place. It was like a theater type of scene. But anyway, he was like, hey, you want to come to the show tomorrow night? I was like, yeah, sure. I was expecting him to give me tickets. This is how old school I am. He was like, he has an app. I guess you guys have an app now. If you want to hook people up, you go into an app and you just put their name on a list. That's a thing, right?
Yeah, Master Tour. It makes touring so much. I mean, for people that want to deal with it, and I mean, there's some work to do on the front end of a tour. You've got to input all the information and the times and everything. But once that's in there, if you want to make a change, of course, instead of texting making some note, you just change it in Master Tour, and then it just comes up in your app. But whenever you have guest lists, yes, you're able to put people on the guest list. You don't have so the tour it makes the tour manager's job a lot easier because now, we used to call it the book of lies. You'd get this book before a tour, and it would have all the stuff laid out, which of course subject to change at any minute. But then they couldn't go change the book. You have the book of lies. It's full of shit. So now Master Tour prevents the lies from happening because now the tour manager goes in. All right, yeah, who do you need on the list? Or you just text him, or now the band guys could put it on there personally, put people on there, whatever. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, it's great, man.
So whatever happened to the ringleader of the Book of Lies? What happened to his job?
Well, he got replaced just like any other thing with technology. Or no, I mean now the guy is just he's just doing it, and a lot of times what they'll do is when they're advancing a tour, they'll have the app up and they'll basically be making the phone calls to the production people and the promoters, and they'll be asking them the questions, and they'll just go down the list that's already spelled out for them in Master Tour, and they do that for all 30 or however 50 shows or whatever, and then it's in the app. So they have some stuff, like I said, to do before the tour, but once they do that and they put the work in, now it even has a place where it's like fun things to do around the venue, and it's, or places to eat, or fun facts about the town. You know what I mean? You could put all kinds of shit. You can put whatever the fuck you want in there, but it just makes it, you can make changes in real time.
Brilliant. Whoever came up with that idea, absolutely freaking brilliant. Had to have been a musician, had to have been somebody in the business.
Or a tour manager that's like, stop asking me all these questions, dude. And that became the thing too. It's like, you're like, hey man, what time are we on tonight? They're like, go look at Master Tour. It's all in Master Tour. And if you're used to like a day sheet, which it just, just has the run of show and the dates, set times and stuff, you're used to seeing that. Like in Saliva, we were, they're pretty old school, especially when I first joined the band. Those guys are like, man, fuck Master Tour, man. Just give me a day sheet.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I don't know. I kind of like the Master Tour. It's right here you're already on your phone. Like, why do you need a fucking day sheet hanging everywhere and all this shit? So they had to get used to it.
Is the set list in there too?
It can be. Yeah. I mean, it's at time. I mean, typically if you're doing a tour and you're supporting or you're headlining, the set list is pretty, you kind of have already rehearsed a set list or two or three. And yes, you can put that in there too, if you want to.
Is Lit one of those bands for you that if you're on the same show as them, you're going to make it a point to watch them perform?
I would definitely watch Lit. They're fun to watch. And, Jeremy and AJ and Kevin. Well, Kevin, their bass player, he's awesome, dude, but he's a really good photographer. So a lot of times when we're playing, I'm like, he's out there and he'll be like, hey, I got a couple shots of you, man. And then he'll send them over. I'm like, that's it's pro shit. But yeah, they're fun to watch. AJ, they'll stand next to each other. And then AJ, have you seen this? He'll stand on top of their legs and he's fucking rocking and shit. And it's cool. They got some moves up there, man. They got some stuff that's it's lit. That's how they do it, Yeah.
And they were such visionaries to name their band such a popular buzzword now today with the kids. God, who saw that coming?
My kids say it's lit, bro. Lit.
Yeah.
Lit.
Think about it. They have an emoji, like the fire emoji. That's their band. They foreshadowed the future back in the 90s. Lit doesn't get credit for, I think, how inspirational they were for a generation, because the 90s always credit it with grunge, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, but those coming of age movies in the 90s into the 2000s, like American Pie had, I think, zero grunge. It was all that kind of pop punk, the Blinks, the Lits, the Offspring, those types of bands made the growing of age movies of American Pie what they were. The soundtrack, because the acting was horrible. The storyline was okay.
Story's right. Stifler's mom and all that. It's just pretty fucking funny, dude. And yeah, it was all the party punk bands, like
right.
The party, like Lit's a party band. I mean, you think of their songs, they're singing about party. The cars in the front yard, he's sleeping with the clothes. It's they had Pam Anderson. That was awesome. Remember on you make me, or which one was it? That was a great video where she's, they're like walking on her and shit.
Yeah.
That's fucking genius, man. Who fucking came up with that shit?
You're like, damn, I missed that opportunity.
And now you look at Pam, you're like, whoa, what happened? She looking a little different these days. Like, shit, man.
You remember Pam then and not now. Of course, that's what you would do. Well, that's pretty cool. So for those that are in Phoenix, what is it? December 21st, you said? Is that?
Yes. It's a Sunday. I reckon we'll probably roll in the night before, play the show, roll out or fly out the next day. But I don't even have the venue at this point. I literally found out very recently about this show. Mm-hmm. I don't even have my flight information or nothing yet. I mean, it's very new. So, but I'm stoked because love those bands. Of course, Fuel, after I got up with Shinedown, I saw Carl and he's like, man, I didn't even think to bring you up for a song, dude. That would have been cool. And I'm like, so now I'm like, maybe I should I relearn a couple Fuel songs in case they ask me?
Probably.
Which would be great. I'd love to do that, man.
Yeah. I think Bobby and his daughter just did a Fuel song.
They did Hemorrhage.
They did Hemorrhage.
Oh yeah.
Or Hemorrhage parentheses in my hands, right?
In my hands.
That's the actual title of the song. I had messaged him the other day. It's so funny, just like you and I and Bobby not having this conversation, but Scott Bartlett from Saving Abel, who was on last episode, you put us on a group text about sharing content and stuff. And then you had texted me and said, hey, I'm off to go see Queensryche in Jacksonville. I'm like, what? That's awesome. And ironically, right before you had texted that to me, for some reason, not that I talked to Bobby or I'm great friends with him by no stretch of the imagination, but he had done Seeing Red from Warrant. I want to say I had a little influence on that from a prior conversation on one of my podcasts. But I said, I've got a challenge for you. Do Silent Lucidity from Queensryche. And then you text me that you're going to see Queensryche. I'm like, dude, the universe works in mysterious ways. He goes, what about Jet City Woman? And then we start getting into this Queensryche battle. I'm like, just pick whatever Queensryche song you want to do. I go, you will make some noise online if you pull it off. And I'm sure you guys will pull it off. I love Queensryche. How was that show? Because you saw the Queensryche without Jeff Tate, right?
I did, yes. So Tyler Torres, he's singing. He has been for a long time now. Oddly enough, though, I'd seen Queensryche with DeGarmo and Tate and everybody in it. And then I saw Jeff Tate do it on Shiprocked, and then Saliva had played some shows when it was just Jeff Tate, and then and so he had like Rudy Sarzo on bass. He had it was cool actually, and Jeff could still sing. This has just been years, but then now I guess it was 2014 or 15. They made a deal, and they bought him out because for a time there was Jeff Tate's Queensryche, right. And then there was Queensryche. So we went through that. We're still kind of going, and Saving Abel. And now there's two Saving Abels, and it's interesting. That these bands that these things are happening. You think we would have had better attorneys that would have prevented these sorts of things from happening because bands break up and lose members all the time. But I have to say, watching Todd and it's still Eddie Jackson's still in the band. There's still some OGs in the band. Michael's in it. But Todd sings those songs really good, man. I mean, it's impressive. I don't know that Jeff still sings them like that. Maybe he does. I don't know. It's been a minute, and I think Jeff is now Operation Mindcrime. That's what his.
Oh, that's right. You are correct.
He has renamed his version Operation Mindcrime, and I read too that I think he's going to put out a record here soon too. So I mean, hey, man, dude. More power to both sides of it. I don't have a dog in that hunt. So, but the fact that they can both go out there and make a living doing it is great. That's all you could ever asked for, but
You ever look at it this way? And I thought about it, and I'd never looked at the revolving door of, let's say, lead singers in a band like this before. If you look at it like a sports team, a football team, and you've got a quarterback that had a good run, but just no longer can do what they used to do, i.e. Aaron Rodgers, right? Appreciate what he did in the past. No one could ever take that away from him. He was the best at what he did back then.
He was great.
Now, not so much. Blame it on whatever you want, but age catches up with you. So he will be replaced, and then another quarterback will come in. That's just how it works. What if you took that kind of mindset to a band and said, okay, let's put our egos. I know you're shaking your head. Just hear me out. Yeah. Let's put our egos to the side and go, okay, it's not about me. It's about the music. And I don't know if bands do that and say the music and the brand of the band is bigger than me or anyone in the band. As long as I can get somebody to perform the songs, run the plays like I want them to entertain the audience, which is the most important thing, then why would you not have a revolving door? Almost like Menudo, that mindset. No.
I mean, it's worked, but it's only worked in very specific cases. I mean, when Bon Scott died, of course, in AC/DC, Brian Johnson came in and killed it. I mean, that was their biggest fucking back. I mean, that worked. Okay. Then you have Sammy coming in after Dave. They sold more records with Sammy. Now, were they as cool as the Dave songs in the Dave era? Subject, for debate there. But it's very, or Paul Di'Anno. What was it? So Iron Maiden. I mean, there's been some singers that have come in, and Bruce Dickinson, and that it's worked. But remember Gary Sharon after Sammy left? Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, fuck this! Come on back, Sammy. Let's make Kiss make up." So I think with singers, there is an identity to the band and typically people are going to gravitate to the singer sort of defining the band. So it's tough, especially when singers leave and they're replaced for fans, and it's happened, or not even just singers, but it's tough if people are super into the band and other members leave. They get pissed, or they're like, no, I want to see it the way it's supposed to be, right? With everybody that I originally saw it with, man. So football's different, dude. I mean, and as far as Aaron Rodgers go, I was impressed that he was able to walk into Pittsburgh, man, and he was winning games. At least they were not that great of a team. They were a well-coached team. I think, Tomlin's great coach. I think that's why he went there, man. I mean, they're at least he hasn't lost. He's at least 50%, over 50% every year. I mean, that's tough to do in the NFL, to win at least 8 or 9 games a year, right? I mean, who does that? Nobody. Not consistently. Nobody fucking does that shit.
You're not doing it this year, though.
Not this year. But he's hurt, though. He got hurt. He fucked himself up. Did you see? It looked like he broke his nose or something. I mean, yeah, he got hurt. Do you think that's fake? That he got?
No, I don't think it's fake. But my point is you can't deny that anybody diminishes with age. You get slower. You're nowhere near as good as you were when you were younger. And a lot of that has to do with your edge and being naive. I mean, like I always say, as soon as a football player gets married and has kids, I want no part of them on my fantasy team, because they've lost their edge, because now they're thinking of other things that they're playing for versus just playing for themselves. So, but the point is that it's a revolving door in the sports world. And to your point of what you're saying is fans get upset. Same thing in the radio world, right? You get used to a morning show or whatever, and they swap it out and stuff like this. That might be a little bit different, kind of, but unless you look at it as it's not about the show, it's about the station. Yeah. The station is bigger than the show, or it should be. That's kind of by design. The band, the music is bigger. So from a fan's perspective, that's them being a little selfish. Because if you really like the band and you really like the music, you just want it to be delivered in the best way possible.
True. It's like with Journey, right? But Steve Perry, they didn't want to do it anymore with him, and he didn't want to. I think he was good being a solo artist. He was like, "Fuck y'all, I don't need y'all." I kind of Brett Michaels, same shit. You know, he doesn't need them. He does not need Poison at all. I mean, he can go out and do just fine without him.
I agree.
The fact that he even still does it, I mean, that's him being a good dude and helping those dudes out. Because anyway, that's a whole nother story. But like with Journey, like they got a guy. They find him on YouTube,
MySpace, I think.
MySpace. He's was a tremendous singer. I mean, like, and he sang them songs, and people still showed up for that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
the music, the songs were so big that anytime you hear "Don't Stop Believing," right? Life stops at a bar, you know, and you start singing. There are very few songs that exist that have that type of attraction.
Impact. Yeah. I mean, it is, you know, it would be tough. I mean, you know, just recently with Sam Rivers passing and Biscuit, and I know probably they just played, by the time this comes out, they will have played a couple shows, I believe, but, you know, they did their first show in Mexico City without Sam, and man, dude, that had to been pretty tough, you know.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And that's a case where it ain't the singer; it's an OG member that had a huge part of that band's sound and their development and them as artists, you know. And they did did you see it? They did a tribute.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it'll kick you in the guts, bro, right in the nuts.
What did they do?
They have a thing, and you know, they stop the set, and everything goes black, and they have a screen, and they kind of just, you know, they go through. They have a bunch of clips of Sam on stage and off stage and doing his thing and playing and stuff from the very beginning, like when they were like, this is like mid to late 90s when they're first starting, you know, and you know, it's like, you know, we love you, Sam, like Sam, I am forever, and you know, and dude, I mean, it was pretty incredible, heartfelt thing. It's like two minutes, couple minutes. You should check it out, man. I mean, it's so Gabe, who's you know, he was Fred's guy, Gabe Karen. He's from Jacksonville. I watched it on his story, and now he's teching for John and is not really Fred's assistant anymore, as far as I know. But he posted the whole thing, or at least most of it, and man, dude, it's.
Do you think that Fred Durst, I mean, since you're all that Jacksonville, you know, ancestral friendship and relationships there, do you think that Durst and Biscuit will continuously take care of Sam Rivers' family for the rest of their lives?
I would think so, man. I mean, it would go to his estate. He didn't have kids, and he wasn't married. I think, you know, he's been married before, but I'm sure his folks. I think they live in Missouri. They hopefully set up something to where, you know, maybe there's going to be a foundation or something where, I mean, the money's going to flow to him or his, you know, his estate, regardless, with royalties and stuff. Now, for future shows and future merchandise sales, that would have to be something that would have been spelled out in a contract somewhere where there's a sort of a death clause, what you're entitled to or your estate's entitled to should you die, you know, because it's one thing if you're fired or you quit, what happens, but if you die, you know, there's maybe some language in a contract somewhere, and that's what contracts are for, man. People don't understand. It's only it's necessary because when something comes up, you got to go back to the contract and you know, and see what you signed and what it kind of with the Saliva thing, you know, those guys signed contracts, and you know, we're talking about singers and people voluntarily leaving bands,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, okay, you voluntarily left. Now you definitely aren't getting a piece of, if we continue on,
Right.
If we sell a t-shirt, you ain't getting a piece of the t-shirt, right? Or if we make new records, you no longer have a part of the brand, right? So that's when people get confused about what their rights are. Should they leave some shit like that? Now, if they owned the brand, they could end it whenever and they could fire everybody, and that's that. But if they co-own the brand with 4 other people, that ain't how it goes down, right? So I think contracts are important. You have to have good attorneys. You have to have people in there that know what the fuck's going on, man. Because if you don't, you wind up making a power move and bite you in the ass. You know
You know that the Gary Sharon replacement. And for those that don't know who Gary Cherone is, Gary Cherone was the lead singer of the band Extreme. More Than Words, that was their big hit song. And he was brought in to front Van Halen. They did this big announcement at an award show and they brought him out. It was, the glam rock days were on life support. It was a very awkward situation. But with that being said, Gary Cherone, according to some lists, is actually ranked as the number one best replacement for bands. Yeah, just because of one of the articles I was reading, it was talking about it just turned out to be more consistent than the other Van Halen albums. And, he just doesn't get the credit like John Corabi when he came into Motley Crue for Vince Neil. Now, Vince Neil in his heyday is irreplaceable just because of the uniqueness of his voice. But Motley Crue, if you've ever seen, The Dirt, that was a pivotal time in the band because grunge was coming into play. So they wanted to change kind of their sound to an extent. John Corabi's Motley Crue doesn't get the credit it deserves. But
great. That's the best record they ever made, if you ask me. They called it Motley Crue, so now people are like, nah, that's not Crue. I'm like, actually, that's a great sounding. The riffs, the melodies, the words. I honestly, it's one of the best records they ever did. And Vince wasn't in it,
Right. Yeah. So people, when you going back to can you treat a band like a sports team and just when it's time, move on because it's more important than the person. It's about the music. The fans are the ones that screw it up because the fans are selfish and they're just thinking of what nostalgia. That's the number one emotion, nostalgia. Like I want what I saw 10 years ago. I want what's on the album. I want this. And they're not open to anything new. There's not one fan of a band that you could tell me that is open to change in their favorite band. That doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Think about when you left Shinedown. What was the kickback for that? Both you and Jason, left, fired, whatever you want to call it. But, there was kickback when you guys left from the Shinedown Nation.
People wanted an explanation and they never were really given one for me or Jason, really, I believe. I mean, I think it was anything that they for whatever reason, it didn't work out for he or I with the band to move forward after the second record. People are still, though, they've seen it with us in it, the four of us, from the very beginning. So for it now to be different, now there's different people. So now they have to accept the new people. Well, first of all, accept that we're not in it anymore, because I was gone 2007. I think he was gone the following year in 2008. So they got to accept that now their favorite band it's changed. No matter how you look at it, it's going to be different from moving forward. And now they got to accept the people that are chosen to be in it. Right. In our as far as our replacements go. And so some people can never accept it. They still are like, man, and they still say certain shit and they're like, man, I don't know. And they're entitled to their opinions, but you got to imagine how they are personally, they're invested in your band, but you're emotionally and the songs and everything. And so when shit changes, man, people get really bent about it.
Oh, in the radio world, think about this. Here's a big difference between a radio show and a band, right? So a radio show, every new job that a radio personality takes, they're replacing somebody that people were used to. There's no exception. I mean, unless it's a brand new station, but even still, you're replacing something. So you're walking in, and I've been put in some really uncomfortable situations, like replacing legacy type of shows and stuff like that. And I've always loved that challenge. You suck. I was like, all right. I have always loved that challenge because I know the person that says that I suck without knowing if I suck, that means that they're passionate, that they do have that loyal gene in their body. Now it's my job to win them over. If I had a nickel for every time somebody, especially after my Atlanta run, came to me and said, Bailey, at first I wasn't a fan, that at first comment, right?
Right.
that will still always be one of my most flattering things a fan could say to me is, oh, at first I thought you were real, but now I'm this and we're cool. High five, that kind of thing. So even when
it's challenge, I mean, it's with Saliva, it's with, Linkin Park now. I mean, of course, Chester's passed, but I mean, even people in their own band were like, I'm gonna sit it out. That's a little weird to me, like if people are in there. Meanwhile, she's great, Emily. I mean, whatever. I'm not in that band, so I don't really, But the fans, when that first happened, they were like, "You can't replace him. You can't call it something else." I mean, you remember when that first happened? It was a thing. Like people were like, they're fucking like you had to clear it with them first. And meanwhile, these guys want to keep creating. They built a brand, and Chester's gone now. And I would hope that, like you asked with with Sam, I would hope that he's being taken care of, or his kids and he had kids and the whole thing, man. So, I would imagine, but again, that comes down to the contract.
Right.
How does it go down if you die?
Well, I remember when Linkin Park introduced Emily, and I had there were like rumblings online, and I am a huge Linkin Park fan. I love Linkin Park. I'm friendly with Chester's first wife, Samantha. She's wonderful, great person. Anyway, I was sitting at my desk and I get a notification and it's like, join live Linkin Park show. I'm like, what is this? That was the coolest. I mean, you could not have done it any better, I think. And then how they introduced her, the song was perfect because it doesn't start out with her. It starts out with Shinoda.
Sure.
And then she comes in, but they extended it. Like, that's not the normal song that I don't think that's the normal time frame of the song. They extended that so she could walk up to the stage.
Right.
Could not have been better.
Like a dramatic sort of, she's appearing now, like, out of the shadows, and it's like this dramatic sort of effect. And they extend the part until she comes in.
And again, it's not about Chester. It's not about Emily. It's not about Shinoda. It's about Linkin Park and the music. Linkin Park songs are amazing, almost haunting now that you look back after Chester's dead. If you go through some of the lyrics, Bleed It Out is one of my favorite songs of all time. But it's about those songs. Would you rather have just old copies and recordings of the original Linkin Park, or would you want to go and actually watch them perform with a new, totally different lead singer, which they had to go that route, and still enjoy that live concert vibe? I mean, right?
I would at least be open to give it a chance. I mean, before you put the wall up, let's see what this is. What is this? At least give it. Obviously, they've put a lot of thought into it, and they've worked it out. And they were, the songwriters in the band. Shinoda was a chief songwriter, if I'm not mistaken, in that band. So that part's still intact, right? I mean, I'm sure Chester had parts he wrote, of course, and he was instrumental in the way the band sounded and in the vocal and the delivery and all that shit. But, you have Mike he never stopped writing songs, whether they're for Linkin Park or his own thing. But so it's kind of like Jerry Cantrell and Alice in Chains, like Lane Staley dies and he did his solo stuff. And, then he comes back with Alice in Chains. And there was people with that thing that was, and I'm a huge Alice in Chains fan. But then, when they came out with it, the songs were still fucking quality, badass songs, because Jerry was that never changed. Same kind of situation, right? Only was one lead singer, but well,
William Duvall, the lead singer of Alice in Chains, Atlanta guy. I'm friendly with him. He's a fantastic dude. His background, like if you want to hear a music background, he's actually from the old Atlanta 80s punk scene. But I remember hearing Alice in Chains with William Duvall as the lead singer for the first time and not knowing that Alice in Chains was on stage performing. It was at I think like a radio fest. It was some kind of festival. I was just walking around and I'm hearing, it was like Wood or Rooster or something like that. And I'm going, what is this? And I knew that they were performing, but I just didn't know when. And I was busy and I'm doing my thing. And I'm going, like I couldn't see the stage. I remember I was like I was off somewhere. I could not see the singer. I could just kind of barely see over people's heads. And I'm going, oh my God.
Yeah, he was fucking
This
good,
is
dude.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I went up like, who's that? You know, and then later became friendly with William, but that started because of Cantrell's love for the music and Alice in Chains, but also his friendship with William Duvall. They would do, you know, when Jerry was out doing his solo shows, same with Duvall, and they had been friends for years. And Jerry would ask, he almost was prepping William Duvall to join the band and reignite the band. They would do like these city winery type of shows, and he would ask William to come up and do some Alice in Chains songs. So there was like this prep years prior, the way that William has told me the story of getting to the point where he knew what he was trying to get to. And you know, but it's cool.
I mean,
you get to hear the music. You get to hear the music.
Yeah, and I think the essence of, I mean, Lane was, man, what a singer that guy was, dude. I mean, incredible. You know, but I mean,
But what
it goes back to the irreplaceable thing. They've managed to, you know, to shoulder on and keep the essence of what Alice in Chains was, and they brought it into you know, they got new fans now. They're young folks that are, and they're back cataloging and dude, my son Noah's birthday was on the 30th of November. I'm like, what do you want and so Mary and I had gone to Charleston, right, for our anniversary, just a quick getaway to South Carolina, and we're in a record store, and I see a Jeff Buckley shirt, and you know, Noah was like, he likes Jeff Buckley, and I said, hey bud, you know, your birthday's coming up, there's some cool stuff in this record store, and he goes, and he liked I sent him a picture of Jeff Buckley shirt, and he was like, that's cool, that's really cool. Do they have any Alice in Chains, Smashing Pumpkins, and I was like,
that's my boy.
There's hope for the future. It's awesome, dude. I was like, tear to my eye, like, hell yeah, dude, fuck yeah. And guess what? They had a Dirt shirt.
Oh,
They had the record, you know, the fucking album cover for Dirt, and I was like, and it was it was perfect. You used to talk about the universe earlier when we were talking before, but yeah, man. So
unfortunately, your son didn't get the Alice in Chains shirt, but Brad did get the shirt. So
I got it for him, and he was wearing it. And I was so happy that he even asked for some. And Jeff Buckley, of course, dude, he loves. It's cool that he, you know, he's into that singer, and that. I mean, he was his career was another one that died young and too early, you know. But another thing with the singer thing, Skynyrd. We went and saw Skynyrd, right, here in Jacksonville. Of course, Ronnie's been passed a long time, but when they did Freebird, on the screen they had Ronnie up there, and Johnny puts the mic down, and Ronnie sang along with the band. And that was cool.
Wow, that's cool.
That was badass, dude. I was like,
again, looking at this differently, you know, if anything, fans should be mad when a lead singer leaves, quits, ODs, takes their own life. I'm not trying to get deep into that conversation, but I'm saying versus getting mad at the person that's trying to have the music live on, have a job, but live on for the fans. People never get mad when the lead singer leaves, or now if they get fired, that's a different story. That's a whole nother conversation. But you know, like in Josie's case, he left the band. So for the Bobby haters, you're like, and I've got no heat with Josie at all. I like Josie, but I'm just saying the premise is like, why bring heat down on Bobby, who's just trying to have the music live on and the brand live on, because that's what Wayne wanted. Like, if you're a fan, you know that, and you should appreciate that and respect that and stop being a dick. Same goes for other bands. Linkin Park with Emily. I mean, Linkin Park, by the way, their drummer's not the original drummer. It's actually Jacoby from Papa Roach's old drum tech. And I think their bassist or guitarist is it Brad or somebody else is different too. They didn't want to tour.
That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, Delson, they were like, yeah, I guess they still probably make their money somehow, you know, whether they're out there or not, they get a piece of the action. That's back to that contract. And it's like, you know, if they don't want to do it, then they opt themselves out and they still get paid sitting home. I mean, if they own, it's like owning the company. You know, it's like with Kiss, people were like, you know, one day there's going to be like imposters on stage dressed as Kiss, acting like Kiss, because the makeup Hey, you could probably. I mean, there's a lot of Kiss lookalikes that are damn close. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I mean, they could totally pull some shit like that. They don't even have to show up, and they're sitting home collecting checks, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's pretty genius in and of itself. But what do you think about bands like Skid Row, too? Sebastian Bach. Skid Row had those songs before Sebastian was around, and then he joins a band, and now all of a sudden they're all over MTV, and
Mhm.
they did it with him. So now though, they were gonna try to bring him back, I think, and
Yeah, it
man,
didn't
they
work
just
out.
can't fucking work it out with him, dude. I don't
Yes.
know what it is.
I've
He's
talked
tough though. I mean, I don't know.
I've talked to
You know?
Snake about that before. There's no way that band reunites. There's way too much bad blood
Yeah.
uh, with that. But they brought in what, Lizzie Hale, for a minute, and they brought in the Swedish guy who I thought was really talented, and he had to leave because of health issues and stuff like that. I mean, think about, there are very few bands. I'm not saying like you can have my theory of the football team replacement with a band for every band. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that there are few bands, like 1%, that if you looked at it like it's about the music and not about the singer or the people, but it's about the brand and it's about the audience, that could be replaced. 1%. Top of mind, you can't replace Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses. You can't. I mean, you then go, well, can you replace Slash? Well, he did. And I saw the show, and it was with DJ Ashba, and I love DJ Ashba. It just wasn't Slash. I mean, the sound, like it wasn't the nostalgia. Well, a little bit of the nostalgia thing, but it was the sound. DJ Ashba's got a totally different guitar sound than Slash.
Right. That's right.
Slash's guitar sound with Axl Rose's voice is the perfect concoction of perfection. You need both of those to go together, like a Joe Perry and a Steven Tyler. You just need both of them to go together.
You really do. Page Plant. I mean, there's been others that have tried, and Dave Coverdale is a hell of a singer. Great singer. I love Whitesnake. But when they did Coverdale Page and singing Led Zeppelin, I'm like, oh man, I don't know, dude. It just isn't. And I mean, Robert Plant doesn't have the voice he used to. We know that. But back in the day, man, he was hard to beat. That guy was fucking great. I mean, damn. And those two together, it was just just the vibe on stage, the vibe on the records. It just was something. It was just something. And then of course the supporting cast. You got John Bonham back there and John Paul Jones. I mean, that shit was just a freight train running through, man.
John
Bon
Jovi. John Bon Jovi. You're Richie Sambora. I mean, Sambora's got a certain guitar sound. Every guitarist I know has a style, just like you have a style when you play bass. But there are very few that play an instrument that that's outside of a singer, right? I mean, that kind of goes without saying because it's a voice. But there's a style of play by very few musicians, in my opinion, that stand out. I mean, it's very difficult to have your own style.
Fred and Wes, Limp Bizkit. I mean, you're going to replace Fred Durst? That's his. I mean, you don't replace Fred either. I mean, but Fred, you listen, when Wes Borland wasn't in the band, those records.
Different.
They were different, man. There was some cool shit in there, no doubt. But I mean, it was pretty obvious they needed Wes, and then thank God he came back. And it's funny because everyone in that band, I believe, has left the band for a minute or two and then came back, except for Fred, of course.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting story with those guys, but yeah, man, that kind of it's like that for a lot of bands. Candlebox. When Peter Klett left the band, I mean, you listen to some of that guitar work with Kevin Martin and their vibe on stage, and their vibe, I thought too, was hard to replace, and I mean, but now he's back. And didn't Peter come back?
Well, I think for that final tour, but I keep seeing them booking gigs. I don't know what they're doing. I love Candlebox and I love Kevin Martin, but I thought they were like, hey, look, this is our final go around. But then on my notifications, I always see Candlebox is playing. Candlebox is playing. Like,
it's the last final. One more time. Fuck it. It's like Kiss or all right, this is farewell. This is it, guys. Until the next one. Until the next farewell.
Elton John. So I had, the perks of, obviously, as you well know, being in the business, you will get tickets, right? In the radio side of things, you'll get free tickets. So, for years, I never had to buy a ticket to go to a show, just like, obviously you have a better gig because you're personally friends with them. So anyway, some years ago, I was in Atlanta and I'd never seen Elton John, but it was Elton John's final tour, Yellow Brick Road tour, final stop in Atlanta. It's done. And I couldn't get any freebies. I couldn't get the hookup. So I ended up buying tickets. I spent $500 a ticket for good seats. I'm like, I'm not a huge Elton John fan, but I feel like I've missed opportunities to see some of the greats before it's the last time to do it. Like I missed out on Tom Petty before he passed. Prince, whose last show was in Atlanta at the Fox. I could have gone to that and I did not. Not a huge fan of Prince, but I should have gone.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna miss this with Elton John. So I pay my $1,000 for 2 tickets. I get good seats to go see Elton John. I watched the show. It was good. I enjoyed the show. I walked out of the Phillips Arena going, okay, you know what? I'm glad I did that. I blink, go to sleep, wake up. Elton John's back out on the road. I was furious. I'm like, dude, we should have a class action lawsuit. Sorry. Jesus. I was like, you can't tell somebody that this is the last time you're going out on tour and then go out on tour again. That's lying to your audience. Let
me ask you this. Was he by himself, just him and the piano, or did he have a full band?
I think he had a full band.
Okay. Cause his front of house guy, his sound guy used to, I guess he's was with Three Doors and then Fuel, of course, Randy. So I ran into him at Fuel did a show with Bon Jovi and he was working with Elton. And this was 10, 15 years ago. I was like, how is it? How is he like to deal with? And he's like, man, he can be tough. He's like, sometimes if the band pisses him off, he fucking fires him, sends him home. Wow. And he's like, you know what? I don't need you. I can do it by myself, just him and the piano. So you're kind of walking on, you have to walk that fine line where you're like, you don't want to rock the boat. He'll send your ass home because he knows he can do it without you.
Yeah.
So figure that out for your life. May not want to rock the boat, the motherfucker, if you want some work this year, you know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting that he told me that. He was like, well, there's been times where he was like, you know what? Fuck them. And he can be a diva. Have you seen it? I'm sure you've seen.
I'm sure.
If you know anything about Elton John, he can be challenging to work with, and he's the star, though. He's the guy. What are you going to do? Yeah. I mean, you don't fire Elton John from Elton John's thing, right? I mean, it just, so.
The guys that get a bad name, it's always the lead singer, right? It's always, that's the guy that's hard to work with. And, I never buy into it because, Jesus, Google.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Google keeps calling me. I never buy into it just because as a host of a radio show, I'm always the bad guy, but it's my vision and I know how I want it to get done. Now, I might not communicate it the best way, so on and so forth. Okay, that's on me, but still, like, everybody needs to file in line with my vision. Everybody has this mindset of this. Everybody can drive the bus. Everybody can be a quarterback in an ensemble cast. You can't. There has to be a filter. There has to be a leader. That person is going to make the final call. Be open for interpretation and ideas. But if you don't think that's part of your vision, because what happens is when it flops, and this happens a lot, if you're a leader and when it flops, right, it's on you. And that's usually when you go against what you believe in order to make all the other people happy. They're not going to take responsibility for the flop.
Right.
And nobody's going to blame them because nobody knows who the fuck they are. Right. Yeah. They're blaming you. Mm-hmm. So next time you fans bring heat down on the lead singer or the guy, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
I learned that when I was let go from Shinedown. I mean, I there was things happening internally with the band that I didn't agree with as far as the sound and the direction and some of the choices that were being made. And, they decided that, they had their own. I mean, obviously there was a vision and there was a label, there was a management, there's other people involved, and is the bass player. And, you kind of have to figure out, stay in your lane. Just, you can voice your opinion, but also, don't make it so vocal that now you've alienated them, or that, because at the end of the day, I mean, if it's the lead singer and he's dealing with the label, there's, they obviously have things and he signed a contract too. Remember we went back to this with creative control and the whole Evanescence thing and they didn't want Paul McCoy on the record. The label did.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what happened? He was on the record.
Yeah.
So you really have to there is pressure from the label, there's pressure from management, pressure from fans, pressure from the band guys. I mean, so it is challenging to be the singer. It's a hot seat that, some people, I mean, they can't even deal with it. They either quit or whatever. They leave the business. I've seen people just fucking quit the business, totally walk away from it. I mean,
yeah.
It's
tough,
different,
man. It's tough when because everybody's creative in this industry.
Yeah.
At least you should be. And everybody's got a vision, not to say that it's malicious or doesn't want to help out the greater good, but everybody's like that. So to get everybody on the same page, you don't want somebody not doing anything and just tagging along. You want them to do something, but you don't want them to cross the line where it hinders what there's a very fine line
there is
that you have to walk.
There is. And you don't want to lay down. You have to have some integrity and of course, and some, and a lot of times though, depending on the band situation, you have to fight to have your ideas even heard, let alone used in situations, so that's tough too, man. If there's a lot of co-writing going on and you've written songs before that have been hits or been, had success. And then now your ideas are sort of, on the back burner or like they're not, there's this heap of just pile of ideas that are automatically ahead of yours because someone else that's a songwriter is now, contributing to the band. And but I'm like, well, okay, but some of these band songs are fucking bad to the bone too. And I think that, you can run into a situation where that creates dissension.
Yeah.
When your creativity is being stifled or cast aside, because the person, the A&R person or whoever is your liaison at the label, now they have to sell it to their boss. Well, this is the song. This is the hit. We think this is the hit because, he wrote it with Desmond Child.
Mm-hmm.
So this has got to be the one, right? Because that guy has written fucking a litany of hits. So did Brad Stewart, what has he done lately? Oh, he wrote that once. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, but this guy, so it has to be sold to the guy upstairs. It's easier to sell that to them if they have some fucking superstar guy that's had, all these hits recently on the radio with different artists and shit, so.
Side note, do you know that Tommy used to work on the docks? Tommy is actually Johnny, and really? Johnny is actually Desmond Child.
Oh,
yeah. I had that. One of the most interesting conversations I've ever had with a guest was Desmond Child. And if you go back into my archives somewhere on the BPX like YouTube channel or something, you can find that. It's way back. I mean, like not way back, maybe a couple years ago. But dude, what amazing stories. For those that don't know who Desmond Child is, Desmond Child has written just about every and any hit song you've ever heard.
He's written a lot. He really has.
Every artist from rock to pop, the R&B, Desmond Child has written the song. But his personal oomph in these songs come into play. So
a great storyteller. We talk about storytelling, right? I mean,
fantastic story.
I mean, he knows how to draw you and relate, especially with that song in particular. I mean, that's kind of like the John Mellencamp thing, telling stories about Jack and Diane, like everyday people that can relate to that shit, dude. That's genius, really. I mean, that's hard. A lot of country music does it. Those writers are really good at that. Skinner was good at it, I thought. But they were writing their own shit.
Dude, I think we just had the anniversary of Ricky serving life. 18 in life. You got it. I think he's up for parole, but
he better be at this point. Shit,
that's a great story. You get to know Ricky. Ricky was a wild one. Anyway, all right. Look, great episode, dude. I want to reach out to Desmond Child. I've had conversations with him on social media, but dude, if I could get him on this podcast, that would be phenomenal. Absolutely.
So Brent did write with him. So, I actually met Brent because of a local producer who's now passed, Pete Thornton, knew Steve-O, right? So Steve-O had re-signed Brent after his band Dreeve had got dropped. And so Brent was on like a writing tour. He was going around and writing with people, producers, songwriters, whatever. And I was able to get an audience and write with Brent through Pete because Control that I had written, I was on the radar. People were like, well, hey man, he's fucking hot. He just co-wrote this Puddle of Mud song. That record was on track to sell 4 or 5 million records, and they got to almost platinum just from Control. So that was something big back then, so anyhow, but he had written with that Desmond Child.
Really?
So it would be interesting to parlay that into this because, and I don't mean to be rude, but he had written a lot better songs with other people. I don't even know if that song got used. I'm trying to even think of the fucking name of it, but we were like, man, are you sure that was the same Desmond Child that wrote the Aerosmith songs and the other shit? And yep, same guy. Because we were like confused because he had written, he written with a bunch of different people that were like, God damn, that's a fucking great song, or whatever. And sometimes though, lightning doesn't. So some of these writers write a lot of songs, and if 5 out of 100 become hits, there's still 5 hits versus most people that can't write 1 hit. I mean, it's, what I'm saying? So that was one of the ones that wasn't the top 5. Like I said, I don't even know if it was used. It was weird songs, man, like 2 songs, but it would be cool to have him on here.
Yeah, that's
and have him fucking send us the songs before he gets on here so you can hear what I'm talking about.
I've never. So they were actually made.
They were demoed. I don't know that we ever went and recorded them, properly in a big studio. But anytime you're writing, I mean, you're it's like a sketch. You're getting ideas down, right? You're getting the lyrics and the melodies, and you're getting some arrangement ideas, which is subject to change. When it gets to the big studio, the big producer, and sometimes your ideas get bastardized. Sometimes they get completely cut out of the song somehow, and you're like, dude, what happened to my song? It was great. Why'd y'all fuck it up? And because that happens too, you're like, you shouldn't have messed with it. It could have been just as good without y'all doing that shit to it. But,
Right.
but of course your heart's in it, and they call that demo-itis. You're like, well, you got demo-itis. You're just so used to listening to the demo that, we go changing it, and now it's a problem. That's not a problem as long as you make it better than the fucking demo, right? I'm like, then it's not a problem. But if you fuck my song up, I'm pissed. Right? So, and that happens. People get pissed, so.
Stop messing with my demo.
It was good the way it was. God damn it. So, I mean, but it happens, and some of the, I remember he wrote with, the guy that did some of the Creed stuff. What's his name? John Kurzweg, who he did the first Puddle of Mud record. He's a producer. He wrote some good stuff with that guy, and we recorded one of them with Bob Marlette in California. And when we presented it to the label, that was one of the ones where Craig Kallman was like, "No, not that one." And in fact, he was like, "We don't think y'all have what we need to put this record out." And so we were pissed because we had been at it, writing, demoing, and then finally we get the green light to do the record, and now the president of the label says, you're close, but we need more songs. So instead of going back out there with Bob, we ended up with Rick Beato, which Rick Beato is, I don't know if you know who Rick Beato is now. Back then he was producing records and things. I think he ended up doing Parmalee and some shit like that were successful, but we did 6 songs with him, 4 of his recordings, and 4 of those songs made the record, Leave a Whisper. Stranger Inside, it was All I Ever Wanted, which I co-wrote. There was, what else? Lost in the Crowd was another Rick song. And In Memory. So those 4 songs were not done in California. They were done in Atlanta at Tree Studios with Rick. This was before his studio was built out. And now Rick has millions of subscribers on YouTube. I think I told you about this. He'll go through songs and he'll dissect them on the piano and the melodies and on the guitar and shit. And he's like, how'd they get these songs? How'd they get these sounds? And so anyway, he's hugely popular now. He doesn't even have to make records. I mean, his YouTube checks are sick.
Yeah.
But no, it happens, man. I mean, you think you have, and you're ready to put it out. You think you have what you need. And then the president of the label says, nope, you sure don't.
That sucks.
Fuck this song. Fuck that song.
Talk about having you have to have a thick skin. Like, really be open to criticism and have a thick skin. You have to have it. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, all right.
Same with the radio business.
Yeah, but you know what? I got to tell you, after hearing that story, doesn't even compare. Like, I couldn't imagine, because you guys are all in on an album, which takes so much time to write, blood, sweat, and tears. And it's very difficult, I would assume, to think that when an album is done, you're not walking away saying, we've got something. It's that creative optimism. So you're like album and demo in hand, walking, whistling, and you're great. You're good to go. And you give it to somebody that had no part of what you just went through. And they might not even have the resume to grade your paperwork, and you hand it to them. They listen for a short period of time and they go, it's not going to work. I would be in jail for murder. Like, I would have killed people.
Well, he was also came from a hip hop background. So we're like, so now he's weighing in on a rock record, and he says we don't have the songs for the rock record that we just, and oddly enough, he came out there. He was already in LA, which we probably paid for him to fly first class out there, but that's a whole nother story. He was already in LA for some of his other artists or whatever when we were out there recording with Bob. And actually we were in pre-production, and he was so tired that by the time he got to us, and we're in there, and I think I can't remember if we were SIR or what anyway, he falls asleep.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's the president of the label falling asleep during our fucking pre-production for the record we're about to go do, that he ends up telling us we ain't got the songs, the right songs, and we need more songs. It was tough, man. I mean, and Barry's like cracking the snare to wake him up, and he wakes up and shit. Yeah, it was crazy, dude. It was so crazy.
That to the thick skin of the radio business, like, listener says you suck, or you have some idiot program director that's trying to live vicariously through you. Not even close, in my opinion, to that. That is, I couldn't even fathom that, because you're all in. Like, I can have a bad show and recoup the next day, but you are all, I mean, I'm not talking about a live performance. I'm talking about an album. You're all in, release, it bombs, even though you think it's good. I mean, we were just talking about the John Corabi, Motley Crue's, and the Gary Sharon, Van Halen's, and all these other different albums that didn't sell anywhere near as much as, say, Dr. Feelgood or, or OU and A12 or any of those albums, but they were still serviceable and good in different levels.
Yeah.
But they walked away as a failure because the public I couldn't do that. I couldn't take that. That's too much for me.
It's a music business, man. It's like pretty rough place.
my head's in that space now. I'm going like, man, I wish I could reach to this camera and give you a hug right now.
Man, that's like, remember when Will Martin was on here, he was like, man, you got to love doing it more than you hate the business of it. You have to love making music and being in it more than you hate the business part of it.
Yeah. All right.
That's different, man. Yeah.
Let's wrap this up. This is good. We had a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed our chitter chatter on this episode of the Vinyl Road. Remember that this podcast, which is released on Fridays, is part of an entire network, what I call the BPX. Sounds cool. Bailey, that's my last name, Podcast Exchange with an X, because that's cool and Gen X-y. But it's all on one feed, which if you're listening, I know we have a lot of Vinyl Roadies that watch this on the YouTube channel, which is cool, but Spotify. And then there's 4 other episodes throughout the week, different shows. Honey, I Raised the Kids. It's one I do with my wife about us becoming empty nesters. And then more like my radio show. I know I reference my radio show to a new audience. The Brad fans, I get it. But I've been in the radio business for 30 years. So it's more like that. There's subscriber episodes that you would have to subscribe to for Tuesday and Thursday's episodes. But all that information is on jasonbailey.com. We have merch for this show. Nothing says Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas like a t-shirt or a mug or a hat.
For real.
The Vinyl Road Podcast.
And if you order now, it'll be here before Christmas.
Right. Actually, I think if you go to the merch shop on jasonbailey.com, there's like throughout this month, the merch shop is having different sales. So here's what I would suggest, though. If you're going to get any article of clothing, make sure you get the premium. Like, they give you different levels at different prices. You get what you pay for. It's a third party, so I'm not in charge of it. So don't blame me. You get what you pay for. Get the premium t-shirts, get the premium sweatshirts. Okay. It's just a couple dollars more, but definitely do that. And we have two different logos or two different designs for the Vinyl Road. We have the original logo design, and then we have like a Warhol kind of look where it's different colors and stuff like that. So yeah, feel free. Holidays, that's cool. jasonbailey.com. All right, buddy. Anything you got that you would like to add before we get out?
Thanks for listening. Once again, grateful. We have fun on here. Hopefully you pick up on our vibes, and grateful for my host and the Vinyl Roadies and the Shinedown fans, the Fuel fans, Saliva, Puddle of Mud fans, anyone that's followed my career. It's a journey, and so it's the Vinyl Road, man. It's part of my life and part of his life, and our stories intertwined. So it's cool to be on here to be able to talk about these things and have people give a shit. Thanks for listening. Seriously.
Wear a Vinyl Road podcast t-shirt if you are in the Phoenix area on December 21st. You go out and watch Saliva play with Fuel and Lit. That would be cool. Brad looking out from the stage, sees you're sporting a Vinyl Road t-shirt, a Vinyl Road podcast t-shirt. I'm sure he'll pick you, like throw a pick at you or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, look, thanks for the support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking, sharing, all that stuff on social media. Thanks for the feedback. We appreciate it. Look, if you're going to be doing some drinking, I understand. I get it. If you've had too much, please don't get behind the wheel of a car. I've lost way too many friends like that. And sure the shit, don't be posting stuff on social media or you will lose a lot of friends like that. You understand? All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
I think we should do a podcast about rock and roll. I got some stories.
That's it for this episode. Check out jasonbailey.com for more shows. Until next time.
Boom.
3 different shows, 5 days a week, 1 feed, details, and to subscribe, jasonbailey.com.